how to catch hold of the self? This is the question. How do I abide in the self? How do I go to the center? This is the question. So the answer is, when you go to the center, you are the center. There's no you and the center. There's no knower and known. The knower and known becomes one in the center. You cannot know center as an object. The knower and known merge in the knowing in that center. So example for that, I am in the waking state. Waking state, I am there, the world is there. The subject, object is there. The knower is there, known is there. In the deep sleep, there's no knower and known. The world is not there, I am not there. But this knowing, awareness is there. How do you say there's awareness in the deep sleep? When you get up from deep sleep, you say, I had a good sleep. That means deep sleep was your experience. That means there's knowing of experience, good sleep. What was there in deep sleep? Nothing was there in deep sleep. The nothing was there is the awareness there. Okay. I existed in deep sleep. I existed called Sat. I was aware, that's called Chit. There's bliss in deep sleep, Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda. This was your experience in deep sleep. But there's no knower and known. You have already entered in the center. You are already entered in Brahman. The knower and known has become one. The knower is the known. Knower and known become one in knowing, awareness. Awareness is knowing principle. Knowing principle doesn't change. Okay. In deep sleep, you are already one with the pure awareness. That's why there's no subject object. You cannot find. Okay, but for a waking state person, deep sleep appears to be blankness, gap. There's nothing. So Baker says, what is there in deep sleep? Nothing is there. Unconsciousness is there, which is actually false understanding. The waker's understanding is to be corrected. In deep sleep, you existed, Sat. That's why you say, I did sleep. There was awareness of Ananda, and there was Ananda. That's why the deep sleep, you existed Sachidananda. That understanding has to happen in the waking state. The correction has to happen in the waking state. Waking state knowledge has to change. Understand? So similarly, gap between two thoughts you cannot find as an object, because the knower and known have become one there, like a sleep state. When the thought comes, the thought has to be corrected. Who am I? Rather than finding that gap. You cannot find that gap, because the moment you find the gap, you're trying to find a subject-object duality. It's like deep sleep. I want to know I'm in deep sleep. Then you are not sleeping. Understand? So when you want to find a gap between two thoughts, you will not be able to find a gap as an object. You know that there is a gap. There are two thoughts are there. There is a gap between the two thoughts. And that in that gap, I existed. That existence is called Sat. In that gap, there was awareness of nothing. There's no subject and object. So Chit. And there is no limitation of body and mind. That's Ananda. Sachidananda Rupi, I existed between two thoughts, two feelings, two sensations, between two breaths. So that understanding has to be corrected when the mind is active. The nature of self has to be corrected. And that awareness is Brahman. That understanding has to happen. Like that, in deep sleep, it's not a blank state. It is a state of pure awareness, Brahman. That understanding and correction has to happen in the waking state. Deep sleep, you cannot correct it. Deep sleep, you cannot find that you are in deep sleep. Right? In deep sleep, what was there? There's no subject and there's no object. There's no body, there's no mind, there's no world. What is there? Non-dual. No other. But there bliss was there. The non-dual bliss was there because I was experiencing my own bliss in deep sleep, my own nature, which is blissful, which is unlimited, infinite, Sachidananda Swarupa. So that understanding correction has to be in the waking state, because waking state person has the problem. Waking state person says, in the deep sleep, there nothing is there. Similarly, when the mind comes up, you say, in between thoughts, there's nothing, you'll say. That you have to say, my dear mind, in between thoughts, you existed. That's why you can able to say nothing. You are aware that there's nothing. That's why you are aware of nothing. Your awareness is there. You existed. Sat Chit Ananda is your nature. That you have to clarify to the mind. So this way, in Vedanta, we say Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya means presence and absence. So Atma is not only to be found in the presence, absence, it has to be found in the absence also. Presence and absence, both. So deep sleep state is a state of absence. There's nothing was there. No world, no body, no mind. Then the Atma is there present as Satchidananda. That is clear to us. Clear to knowing, waking eye, when we clarify. But when you wake up, the objects are appearing, the world is appearing, the mind is distracted. The Ananda part is missing. Okay. But the Ananda part manifests itself in between two thoughts, in between two experiences, in between two breaths, a short duration of gap. In that gap, the absence of subject-object duality is there. So that absence of subject duality is my real nature, I have to tell. Now, does it mean that in thoughts I am not there, in feelings I am not there? Am I there only in the gap? No, you are there in the both the cases, presence and absence. In deep sleep also, the self is there. In the waking state, when the thoughts are also, self is there. But more evident presence of the self as non-dual self, there is no subject-object duality, can be found when there is absence of thought or deep sleep. So but in the presence of thought also, I am there. How? When the thought is present, I know. The I know is there. So this is banana, is a thought. I know banana. That I know I am there as I know. Knowing principle. This is Prabhuji. I know this is Prabhuji. That I know as I know I am present in thought. But my attention is in the thought. I know is the background principle as awareness in the presence of thought or absence of thought. In the absence of thought, it's more clearly visible, more clearly recognizable, because there's no object to find. In the absence of thought, Ananda is more manifest, very more, because there's no limitation of body and mind, no duality. In deep sleep, there's no duality. Object and subject are not there. Mind is dormant. In that case, the bliss is more manifest. That's why find the gap between thoughts, find deep sleep state. In that deep sleep state, Satchidananda Swarupa is fully manifest, or fully available for your understanding in the waking state. Understanding when you get the thought, not in the thoughtless state, not in the gap between thoughts. So this is to be required to correct the understanding. So Anvaya and Vyatireka means the self is present. Self is the background in the presence and absence. In the presence, knowing principle. In the absence, knowing principle. In the thought, knowing principle. In the absence of thought, knowing principle. In deep sleep, knowing principle. In the waking state, knowing principle. Knowing principle is awareness. That continuously is there. Like screen is there in all the movie, horror movie, okay, and fighting, all scenes, the screen is there. Like that, awareness is the background of knowing principle. I, the knowing principle, is there in the background of everything. That is Atma, and that's Brahman. Is that clear?